Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. I hope you're all doing very well today. Recently, I came across a blurb in a newspaper from 1983 about a specific card. Happens to be this right here, the 1983 Fleer Duane Kuiper, and I kind of completely forgot that I actually owned this set. But in the article, it was just a small little thing, and it said that this card was really popular at the time, and I wanted to know why it was. Now, in the article, this image wasn't in there, so I went through my set, and I, again, kind of forgot that I actually owned the set, and I found it, and I was like, "What's going on here? I want to know more about this," and it's really interesting that Duane Kuiper here has a broken bat, and I figured, like, maybe he was like a great hitter or something. Again, 1983, I'm like 6 years old, and I just got into the hobby the previous year, and so I was still learning a lot about cards and collecting cards back in 1983. Again, very very young age, so I wouldn't even have seen Duane Kuiper play even if I wanted to, because here in Boston, all we had was the American League. So he was a National League guy. And today I figured that I would go through this card right here and kind of tell you the origins of it. And also go through the 1983 Flair set as well. I do have a number of these cards along with the set, but I'm not going to show you the entire set. I just picked out a number of cards that you guys might enjoy, and then kind of go through some of the details of the 1983 Flair set. So here we go. I think you guys are going to find this really interesting, as I have. This is from the Tulsa World, July 21st, 1983, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Non-slugger wins fame in baseball. One homer, Kuiper also noted for broken bat photo. San Francisco. The way Duane Kuiper figures it, if you can't become the greatest slugger in baseball history, you might as well be remembered as the worst. Duane Kuiper will be remembered. He went 1,382 official at-bats before hitting his first major league homer on August 29th, 1977, as a member of the Cleveland Indians. Since then, the San Francisco Giants second baseman has gone 1,816 at-bats without hitting a fair ball into the seats. You have to figure that's a record, Kuiper said. Only Mick Keller, no homers in 1,081 at-bats through 1982, even qualifies as a contender. I did have a real close call this year, though I hit a ball within a foot from the top of the fence and right at Candlestick. Dave Parker nearly killed himself running into a pole while chasing the ball. Serves him right. If he had been playing me right, about 10 steps in, he wouldn't have gotten hurt. After that, I cut down on my swing out of fear of breaking my streak. Kuiper is in the record books for more than his lack of power. He also shares an American League record for breaking up the most no-hitters. Kuiper accomplished the feat 3 times, including twice during the 1978 season against Nolan Ryan and Ron Guidry. There wasn't a line drive in the bunch, said Kuiper, whose hits generally fall into the category of dying quail. Even Kuiper gets into the act of offering these bits of trivia about himself. The only double play combination in history to go an entire season without hitting a homer, he asked. Dave Drabinsky and I did it in 1979. The only double play combo with the same birthday. Johnny LeMaster and I both were born on June 24th. The greatest current source of pride for Kuiper appears on card number 263 in the 1983 Flair set, which he hopes will earn him a spot in Baseball Card Hall of Fame. Generally, cards of Hall of Famers and superstars draw premium prices. The 1952 Mickey Mantle card put out by Topps is valued at $1,000, and a Willie Mays of the same vintage is worth $165. But there are other cards that are prized because of an oddity. The 1964 Topps set includes a card of Milwaukee Braves right-hander Lou Burdett posing as a lefty. In 1969, the California Angels bat boy posed as Aurelio Rodriguez. In 1975, a Hostess snack cakes set mistakenly pictured Lee May on Milt May's card. Lee is black, Milt is white. Kuiper figures he has made an indelible mark with his own oddity card. He challenged people to spot what makes his card unique. An inspection of the cards shows that the person on the picture is Kuiper, and the name is correctly spelled, although he's wearing an alert orange jersey since put into mothballs by the Giants. Finally, there is an oddity. Kuiper is holding a bat by the barrel over his left shoulder. The bat handle is broken at the right angle, barely hanging on by a splinter. The picture was taken during spring training, and the photographer caught me in one of those moods when I didn't feel like being serious, which is always. I picked up a broken bat and posed. The guy laughed and snapped the picture. I'm sure he wouldn't have done it if I were Pete Rose or Mike Schmidt, but I'm a Punch and Judy hitter, so the Fleer people went along with the joke. Someone told me that that's one of the hottest cards on the market. Not bad for a guy who can't hit the ball out of the infield, huh? But Duane is due to be disappointed. A collectibles consultant has some bad news for him. There are a ton of errors on baseball cards, but only pounds of variations, said John Spaulding, an expert on card collecting. If an error goes uncorrected, then it has no added value, but if the error is corrected in subsequent issues, the value usually increases, particularly for the rarer of the two cards. If he wants to gain baseball immortality, the Baron of Bloop must continue not hitting homers. Alright, so as you guys can see here, this is a 1983 Fleer Steve Garvey, and I'm going to go through a little bit of this. Really, the funny thing here is that my recollections of the 1983 Fleer are very, very limited just due to age alone. I would have been 6 years old when this set came out, and really not paying too much attention to especially the National League ball players. But I did actually know who Steve Garvey was, and a lot of times I would try to follow what these players were doing, and later on in Beckett and in the Dead Tree media. So Steve Garvey here, he's been up for Hall of Fame consideration a couple of times. At some point, I suspect he probably will get in. Obviously, like Ichiro just got in. I'm very, very happy that Ichiro got in, and CC Sabathia as well. Ichiro is one of my all-time favorite ball players. But Steve Garvey here, I really like the photo of this card and what's going on. It's obviously a clubhouse, and it looks like it's an away. He's in an away jersey. Steve Garvey's got a really interesting background. They used to call him the one-man baby boom, and he kind of presented himself to be this all-American guy, and then all of a sudden, like, it was turned out he had multiple kids, I think, and with different women, and it kind of shattered his reputation, really. But he was a real stellar ball player during his career, and again, he probably will get in the Hall of Fame. And guys, I'm sorry about the blurriness of this. This really doesn't like to pick up baseball cards, apparently. But as you guys can see here, this is autographed, and I actually do have another Steve Garvey card here that is autographed. Again, it's a 1987 Topps, and unlike the 1983 Fleer here, I didn't see too many of these growing up. Hardly ever did I actually see any, but I saw millions of these things. They were like pigeons. Like, honest to God, you'd find them on the sidewalks, and at least I did here in Boston. So they were everywhere, and I swear I think I completed like two sets. And so like unlike say the 1987 tops here, where they probably printed, I think I heard estimates about 30 million cards. I've heard things like for every player there's like a million cards, whereas for Flair here, they only printed as many cards as they sold the year prior. This actually is also reflected too in the PSA population reports as well. So what's really interesting about the 1983 Flair set is that it looks an awful lot like the 1981 tennis magazine set, which I've covered before. And you guys can see the red Flair logo right here, and then the red tennis logo right here, which I really like. But this set also reminds me too of the early 1980s when uh, virtually every single computer was in this beige nasty color, this just absolutely disgusting, bothersome beige color. And I actually had a car, a 1979 Dodge Aspen, that was beige, and it was one of my first cars, and really there's no way that I could ever pick up chicks in that thing, because no self-respecting woman would ever be caught dead in a beige car. It's just absolutely gross. And getting back to the computers of the early 1980s, and even a lot of the office furniture was in this nasty beige color, and I always wondered why. Right? So I'm like, is that the only reason? Like, you guys couldn't find any other colors for a computer, right, or office furniture? And the reason why is because beige was the cheapest color that they could come up with, that they could find, and it was the easiest color too. And also that the companies like Apple and IBM, they didn't really want to offend a lot of people, so they were looking for the least offensive color that they could find. But I was certainly offended driving a 1979 Dodge Aspen in beige, and yeah, I didn't really pick up too many girls in that thing. But man, the engine was awesome in that thing. Anyway, so I've already covered this before. It's a really neat set, and kind of rare. And the grading companies won't grade these things. Unfortunately, I tried, but yeah, you guys can check out my video on that set. So another really neat card is, and I think it's on a lot of people's want list. I think, and I'll get rid of this one, is the Ryan Sandberg rookie. And Ryan Sandberg is a guy that I always followed through Beckett and through the regular press, but I never saw him play, unfortunately. And I'll be talking more about Ryan Sandberg and his career. But this is, I think, a rookie card that a lot of people kind of bypass just because they don't like the card itself. This is, again, like a set that is, you either like it or you don't like it. I don't think there's any in between, right? I don't think people are like, oh, it's okay, I'll grab the card, but I really don't like it. For me personally, I kind of like bland cards, and I hate to sound like that, but I don't like the glitz and glitter of a lot of the modern cards today. I have a few modern cards in my collection, but for the most part, I think if you're collecting this set, it's because you want a card of the player, or you just want something simple. And I'm a very simple guy. I really am. I'm not like a glitz and glitter kind of guy. I'm not flashy by any stretch. At least I don't think so. And the more you get older in life, the more I think you really want to kind of like tone down things and just have a simple life. At least I do. And just because my own background, let's just say, makes me want to have a fairly uncomplicated life and fairly uncomplicated collection of cards. So Again, I'll talk more about Ryan Sandberg here, but this is his rookie card, and it's it's not really it's not really discussed all that much. And I think he's got a 1983 Don Russ as well. I could be mistaken because I really haven't seen that card. And the funny thing is, um, I have this set, but I haven't really gone through it. So it's a really neat card, though I think. And the jersey here is kind of interesting too. Again, I didn't watch a whole lot of National League ball players. Only in later years did I do that. And then uh, you have the Wade Boggs rookie here, and his 1983 tops is really what a lot of collectors like. And that 83 tops was for me very difficult to get my hands on in the 1980s, particularly because of the Sandberg rookie and the Wade Boggs here. And this was on a lot of people's want lists, even in the 1980s, as I remember. Um, but again, this isn't going to sound popular, I think, even in Boston, but I was never a Wade Boggs fan. I heard a lot of stories about Wade Boggs from other ball players on the Red Sox, and even Butch Hobson, and I'm not going to say a whole lot about that. I've already talked to you guys about the Margot Adams affair, and really that was the first time that I think my father kind of said to me as I was completing the 1987 top set here was that ball players weren't really people to look up to, and I kind of like disagree with that in a way. Today I can understand that because they're not really a part of our community like they used to be, and that's because of the financial factors, and I understand that. So I understand what my father was trying to tell me. However, I have known a lot of ball players who actually do live in my community and have lived in my community, and they're every bit a part of it. And that includes Red Sox players and guys like Johnny Pesky and Bobby Dorr when they were alive. And I know Bobby was not living in Massachusetts, but Johnny Pesky definitely was, and Dom DiMaggio as well. So we did have a lot of Boston Bruins players and Celtics players and baseball players retired living in my neighborhood. And even when they were on the Red Sox, there were a lot of them living in my old neighborhood as well. And I completely understand where my father was coming from. And so I looked up to guys like Johnny Pesky, obviously, World War II veterans. A lot of those are the guys I looked up to when I was a kid, and my father, obviously, and other family members. So I did have a good sense of who to look up to and who not to, and who to listen to. And I really didn't have much of a problem there. So, again, Wade Boggs did have his issues, and he was a great hitter, and he's a Hall of Famer. But at the same time, we're all fallible people. If you're human, you're going to be fallible, and Wade Boggs was definitely one of those guys. And a lot of people say he was selfish, a very selfish ball player. Which, okay, fine. You have a choice in life. So another rookie card of probably one of the greatest hitters that I have ever seen, and I only saw him on a few occasions, was Tony Gwynn. And this is, it's not as famous as his 83 tops. Well, I don't like his 83 tops rookie card. I have a copy of it. I just don't like it because it's all tail, right? So, not a very flattering photo of the man, for sure. But a lot of people do like that card quite a bit, and they like the 1983 tops set. I do have that set somewhere. I'll have to dig it out. But I actually like this card much better than the 83 tops. And I like the logo here too quite a bit. And I really do miss Tony Gwynn. I wish he was still here. He was just a fantastic ball player. I think a great human being too. I haven't really heard any stories that would contradict that. Now, again, Tony Gwynn was also on a team that was very fractious, but really, really interesting. That 1984 Padres team, which I probably will cover it at some other point. And I actually do have another Padres player here that I will talk about, um, and that is Eric Shaw, and this is autographed. And I'm not going to talk too much about Eric Shaw in this video. I think he's going to probably have another video just exclusively him, because he his story really resonates with me, and I'm gonna tell you guys why that is. But I like the jersey here, I really do, on both of these cards. It's rather unique, I think, and it's really interesting. But again, I do have a couple of Eric Shaw autographs, and I'm not gonna talk more about him right now. But another card that I really enjoy from this set is Dale Murphy. And I don't have Dale Murphy's rookie card, but this is the next best thing, I think, at least for me personally. And this card is autographed. Dale Murphy does have a great autograph, and I think he has a good chance to get in the Hall of Fame. He's got a pretty good case, I think. Really nice guy, and nice guys finish last, according to Leo DeRocher, and it seems to be accurate. So Dale Murphy does have a really interesting card. Other than this, I gotta say, and that's I think it's the 1991 Upper Deck Reverse Negative. I could be wrong on the date there. I I, I have seen like one copy of it, and it was a huge deal when it first came out. But again, I'm not always right, which is good. It would suck to be right all the time. And I'll show you the back of these cards too. They look like that, pretty interesting. And there's always a small photo of the player on the back of the card, which I think is nice. And oh, that's not that does not the sports page is where I got this card from. Uh, but let's see another here. I'll show you another card that I really enjoy, and that's Dwight Evans here. And obviously, Dwight Evans, he's not in the Hall of Fame, even though that mustache is. Um, I did get this autograph, and I really was I was really looking forward to a Dwight Evans autograph, and I do see Dwight every now and then, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. He really should. I'm a big fan of Dwight. I did get to see him play during his second half of his career, which I thought was better than his first half, from what they say. Obviously, I missed that, but I think Dwight should get a pass. A lot of people, what they might not understand is that Dwight's two kids have elephant man disease. I think one has passed away uh, because of it, but it was one of the reasons why he stayed with the Red Sox for such a long time. I believe he played about 19 years or so, or 19 of his years out of 20 was with the Red Sox. I think he definitely played with the Orioles at the end, and he should not have gone to the Orioles. I'm sorry. The Red Sox should have kept him for that last year. But he stayed here in Boston all that time because the hospitals here in Boston and the medical care that his kids needed was here in Boston. So he stayed. And I think that needs to be put into consideration if they consider Dwight Evans as a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. I personally I'm biased because he was such a great ball player, and he is a great human being. That I do think that he should be in the Hall, and even if he isn't, he's still in my Hall of Fame. So this was a really important card for me personally, and just because I really enjoyed his career, and he's such a great guy. So his autograph is fantastic. I definitely talk about Dwight Evans often, and I do have his rookie card and his second year card, which are fantastic. His rookie is in the 1973 tops. Yeah, his rookie is in the 1973 tops, which is really kind of growing on me, and I used to make fun of that set all the time. Another card that you guys might like quite a bit is Carlton Jr.'s second year card, and I do have both of his rookie cards. Although he's got a pre-rookie too in that 81 Police Orioles, and you have to kind of be careful with that set. I think there are two different cards from the 81 Police, but one of them is exceedingly rare, and I think there's only a few copies known. But if you guys wanted to pick up his regular rookie in the 82 tops, the regular one is quite nice, in fact, and it's not as expensive as it was when he was playing. The tops traded card, which I can't find. I'm not entirely sure where that is. I picked that up a couple of years ago. In fact, I really wish I could find it for you guys. But I picked that card up really cheap, and it was a grail card of mine, if you will, because I remember it so well. And I remember that card actually being one of the most forged cards of the 1980s, the tops traded Carlton Jr. Nobody's going to forge this thing, I can tell you that. But it's a really neat card, and it's his MVP year as well, in 1983. And the Orioles went on to the World Series in 1983, and it's the first World Series that I saw. And I didn't see all the World Series, so I went back, obviously decades later, on YouTube and checked out what I had missed. And it's really interesting to me. I always thought that the Phillies were the better team. At least they had Mike Schmidt on that team and four other Hall of Famers plus Pete Rose, and they still lost to the Orioles here. So again, he was the American League MVP in 1983, and that makes this card really really interesting. And here's the back of the card. So I'm not entirely sure what this card is supposed to be worth. I did actually see one recently for $25. And then another card that you guys might enjoy is Jim Palmer. And in the 1983 World Series, Jim Palmer faced Steve Carlton in Game 3. And I recently checked that Game 3 out. Really interesting. You guys can see it on YouTube. In fact, I'm going to throw a link down below in the comment section so you guys can see that. It's obviously Jim Palmer, and he is a 300 game winner, as is Steve Carlton. And I think that's the first time that, maybe the only time, that two 300 game winners were facing off in a World Series. But Jim Palmer here was winding down his career, and I think Steve Carlton had a few more years left in him. But they both, I think he's got like 3 Cy Youngs, and I think that Steve Carlton has like 3 or 4 as well. I mean, these guys both are just amazing pitchers, and he's really good. He's a real good signer through the mail. So you guys can find his autograph. It's not difficult. I'm not entirely sure about Steve Carlton. I do see his autograph on occasion, although I haven't been looking for it. But this again is a really neat card, I think. And you guys can remember. You guys can remind me in the comment section. He was a pitchman for a company. Was it like MetLife or something like that? Let me know. I'd love to figure that one out. But I thought he was a pitchman for some company. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. In fact, I haven't watched TV regularly since 2000. So probably about the same time I actually watched a baseball game. Actually, I do seem to remember seeing a game in 2009. And then you got the American League Rookie of the Year. And so this is Ron Kittle. And as I didn't know back in the day that he had a broken neck in the minors, and it didn't stop him from playing in the major leagues, though. He had corrective surgery, or as corrective as it could be, I guess. And I'm not entirely sure. He probably kept it quiet, but I kind of doubt that. I think it was actually known in the press that he did break his neck, and I kind of forget how he did that. But he had a stellar 1983, and he was the Rookie of the Year for the American League, and he put up some really great numbers. But he had a really tough career after that because of his injuries, and I, I I really liked the White Sox uniform and the logo that they had back then, as you can see here. So he does sign quite a bit too. So you guys can pick up his autograph really cheap. In fact, and Tony Gwynn, actually, I did pick up a Gwynn signature on an '85 Flair, which I'll do a video on Tony Gwynn at some point. I think because I'm just such a huge fan of Tony Gwynn. But again, a lot of people don't really like the 1983 Flair set because it's quote unquote boring. So I do actually have a number of these packs of 1983 Flair. I'm not actually going to open up any. I thought about it, but in the end, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I know what the cards look like. I have the entire set, and as you guys can see here, it cost me like $15 per, so it's pretty expensive. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to open up the packs. And the other thing that I've mentioned this before, but the other thing that you guys want to know about if you actually do purchase packs like this, wax packs, is that a lot of times back in the 80s, and I witnessed this often, was that you had dealers that would open up the pack and then take out the good cards and insert other cards and then reseal them. So today, I don't think that this one is I really don't think that this one has been searched through, but you never know. Somebody could have gotten really good at resealing packs, and it's one of the dangers of opening up a pack of wax when wax actually was wax, and they don't have any gum. So initially, what happened was that Flair won its suit in 1980 against Topps, and they were allowed to have chewing gum in the pack, but then on appeal they lost. So instead they had logo stickers and other stuff, and two photos on each card. I'll have to figure out what that is because I haven't actually opened up a pack of these. But I would be very careful opening up a pack of any wax pack from like the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. A time when Jeff Wilson thought that card collecting was boring, apparently. But to each his own. I mean, it wasn't like Topps didn't have a monopoly or anything like that. Again, I don't know anyone who actually had this set. I didn't have it growing up. I didn't see these cards. It was very rare if I did. I think I saw maybe one or two. But other than that, I don't know any of my friends who had this set. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about the 1983 Flair set here. And if it was a knockoff on the 1981 Tennis Magazine set here, it looks an awful lot like it is, but again, like that, I think that might be a stretch. Again, I would love to hear from any Topps executive who's still alive, who was around in 1983, as to what they were thinking of when they came up with the design of the 83 Flair. If they were trying to mimic what a 1983 computer looked like back then, an Apple, maybe that was what they were thinking of, because Apple II, I think, just came out in '82. I could be wrong, because that was 40 some odd years ago, right? Over 45 almost. Dude, my math is horrible. Anyway, guys, again, I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below about the 1983 Flair. If you like it, if you don't like it, it doesn't matter to me. But I thought this would be really interesting. And then the Duane Kuiper card as well, and his story, which is really interesting. The only home run he hit was in 1977. I think that's it. And then, actually, he's still alive, and he was a long time broadcaster for the Giants as well. So I learned something new about Duane Kuiper and that particular card and his career, which I thought was really interesting. And it's one of the reasons why that I wanted to share that with you guys today. So again, I'm headed to the National in a few days. So I'd love to meet some of you there and just come up and say hello, and I'd love to have a conversation with some of you guys. So in the next one, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.